There's a fine line between making the decision to continue with a plan that is missing some elements by adjusting it slightly, and scrapping that plan altogether so that a small failure does not become a substantial failure. On the night of July 2nd, 1863, Robert E. Lee thought about what his Confederate Army had accomplished here at Gettysburg. On that day, his army had seized many of the initial positions of the Union defenders, but they had not taken the crucial high ground, with a small exception. Confederate soldiers were able to capture a small portion of the Union line on Culp's Hill. Lee thought that he still had an opportunity to win a battle here at Gettysburg, and so he decided to stay and fight for a third day. He would write in his official report, the general plan was unchanged, and he would create an attack with three components. Lieutenant General Longstreet would take his corps. He would have substantial artillery support, and he would attack the left end of the Union line. General Johnson, a division commander, would be reinforced with additional infantry, and he would continue his assault against the Union right at Culp's Hill. The Confederate cavalry commander, General Stuart, would take his horse soldiers and move to support the left flank of the army, while also picking a position that would give him an opportunity to strike the Union supply line if the Union army was dislodged from this position. Ideally, these three attacks would take place very early in the day and simultaneously. However, it was the Union soldiers who struck first on the morning of July 3rd. Union men trying to retake their positions on Culp's Hill initiated the battle at daybreak. At about the same time as Lee met with General Longstreet, he found General Longstreet planning to make a flanking maneuver around the Union left rather than attacking it directly. Although orders had been given out the previous evening and the artillery had been put in position, Lee had not personally communicated with each of his commanders. Now he found Longstreet working at cross purposes with him. Lee would cancel Longstreet's orders, but some damage was already done. The Union Army had taken away any initiative the Confederate soldiers might have. The timing and simultaneous movement was destroyed as well. Lee reiterated his orders to Longstreet, but Longstreet replied that Hood and McLaws' divisions could not move without exposing their own right flanks. Lee accepted this criticism and adjusted the attack. Longstreet would take Pickett's division, and he would borrow Heath's division, as well as 2 brigades of each of Pender's and Anderson's division from General Hill's 3rd Corps. Together, this column of infantry, 12,500 men or slightly more, along with the artillery, would strike the center of the Union line. But General Longstreet was not ready to launch that attack until 1 p.m., 4 hours later. In this ensuing delay, Confederate soldiers had been beaten back from their attacks against the Union right at Culp's Hill. What is that fine point where a leader must make the decision that he can no longer adjust a plan slightly and must cancel it so that a small failure does not become a substantial failure? Given that Confederate forces were beaten back from attacking the Union right on Culp's Hill, and that the desire of a simultaneous attack early in the morning had been lost, should Lee have still allowed Longstreet's assault to go forward at 1 p.m. on July 3rd, 1863?